Hello, Flosstubers. I think this is take 4 on this, so I'm going to try to get it right this time. So I found Flosstube. I know you all have been around for years. I just didn't find you until 5 days ago. And I was immediately sucked in. What a delightful place to hang out. And my little, one of the Flosstubers I was watching called it the Stitchy Bug. The Stitchy Bug immediately woke up, and I have been wallowing in all things fabric and fiber for 4 days now, which is no hardship for me. I'm loving it. But it's one of those things where it's like those gym floor domino things that you knock the first one down and then the whole gym floor starts falling into place. Oops, kicked that. And I hardly know where to start talking. So I guess what I'll focus on first, I think what I'll say first, and I have these written down. Have I moved them already? I have probably added 30 or 40 of you to my subscription list, all classified under Flosstube. But for the last 3 or 4 days, I've tended to kind of focus on 3 or 4 of you for now. And you're all costing me money. And I think my first little shout out is going to go to Anna of what is she called, the Stitch Roadie, because she did one early on in her Flosstube experience where she was giving some warnings to newbies about what you think it's going to be when you sign up. I want it to be someone to where I'm accountable and that will encourage me to finish all of these unworked projects that I have sitting around. That was her warning. I was already 2 days into it going, yeah, it doesn't work that way, does it? It doesn't work that way. So kind of the point, thanks for the warning, but I got to you too late, Anna. Part of the warning was to, just be aware that that's not the way it was going to work out. I heard that, like I said, on day 2. I'm on day 4, and I'm looking at what I've bought and what's coming in, and that's not going to work that way for me. It's not going to be about me finishing things. So I'm going to start with the first thing I bought because I'm working at my mom's on this piece. And I haven't worked on anything for a long time. What I've realized is that I've developed some arthritis in this joint. And this is the joint that I hold up the Q-snap frame with. And so that starts aching. And so I decided to look into little stands, something that could easily transfer back and forth. I have a big frame. I've had it for a long time. I don't even have enough space for it here now. But I just want something small, relatively inexpensive, that I could either leave at my mom's or take back and forth easily to my mom's. So I went looking on Flosstube for small frames and ran into Carolyn, is it Mazio was doing a review of a couple of small frames or stands, and I ended up with the Nurge stand. Have not used it yet. I'm going to have to pull out some old frames, hoops, because this one does not accommodate the Q-snap. But that's okay. I can do that, and I think it will work for the purpose that I had intended for it. So that was my first purchase. And then I had rather blithely, I think, announced in my first thing that I was going to finish Firefly Fairies, that I didn't see myself working on linen much in the future. I'm not particularly interested in samplers. I did a sampler, a pretty good size one, many years ago, and it was fine. It was fine, but it didn't it wasn't as much fun as some of the other things that I have stashed away that I want to work on. And so blah, 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 blah. And then probably maybe 15 minutes after I posted that, maybe as much as a half an hour, someone came on and started talking about something called, let's see, I didn't set this up before I came out here today because I'm working. The shores of Hawk Run Hollow. In fact, several of you mention the shores of Hawk Run Hollow. Notice it is already in my hands. Day 4. I heard about it sometime between day 2 and day 3. And I immediately went to the internet, ordered it, and I already have it in my hot little hand. I have a clip for the next Flosstube I do. I've already recorded all this, and I will fit it in talking about why this sampler spoke so strongly to me. And so, yeah, I have it. I've gotten a start at kitting it. I have the fabric. I bought the fabric at the same time. And again, my eyes, I've had multiple surgeries on my eyes, and I'm so grateful for the vision I have. I have had LASIK when I turned 50, and then I had a completely detached retina in my right eye, and it was a magic. I swear my retinal surgeon is part magical because he managed to get it to completely reattach, and it's 20. And then one of the things that happens when you have that kind of optical surgery, if you have a cataract, or even if you don't, the side effect of the surgery is that you will throw a cataract. And so I did, and my also magical ophthalmologist, who I've had for 38 years now, gave me a new lens in this eye. I have 20/20 vision with no astigmatism in this eye. I've never had another problem after the LASIK surgery in this one, and that was 18 years ago. And its vision is 20/30, but there is still an astigmatism in there. So my eyes without glasses, they don't always work together real well. And so, I just use over-the-counter reading glasses to do close work, but it still isn't enough to make me want to do 1/1 on 40 count linen ever in my lifetime again. Fortunately, 123 Stitch had this. So Shores of Hawk Run Hollow is supposed to be on a 40/2. And they had this really nice piece. I bought a yard of it, 36 by 43 of a 20 count Ida. It's called Vintage Country Mocha. And I think that's gonna work just fine for me. I have the little holes on the Ida to help guide me through this. And so, thanks a lot. $80 later, I'm ready to go. I'm actually not, other than kidding it, I'm not going to start this yet because y'all have also talked about Maynia. Really? Maynia? That's a whole nother Flosstube video from me. I will just say I can hardly breathe in excitement about Maynia. But because this will be a new start for me, I'm holding on to it until May. I don't have time to start it now. There's just too much going on around here. But I am excited, and I do want to get it kitted like I want to get, I think the whole point is you get a bunch of stuff kitted so that you can be starting them, right? Do I understand that? Shores of Hawk Run Hollow was using needlepoint silks, and I would prefer to use my DMC collection, and these were the ones that were in my DMC collection. But as I was putting it together, I realized that she's just doing her best to match them, and there are a couple of issues that I run into already where I'm not sure I'm going to be happy with some of her choices. So I'm going to take this tomorrow to my local needle workshop which is essentially, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think she carries everything except DMC in her store. And it's mostly a needlepoint focus. So my guess is that she carries needlepoint silks. I have both numbers, the needlepoint silk and the DMC. And I'm going to go through and just make sure that what I already have is a match that pleases me. The issue that I ran into is that she used 927 twice. Once she uses it and calls it a light blue, and another time she uses it and calls it a green. And I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to like that. I want mine to look like this. I adore this piece. I absolutely, and in the other video I talk about what it means to me having been to Massachusetts and learned about Sam Bellamy and the Witta, and I'll leave it at that. You can go watch it if you want. But I want it to look like this. So I'm going to go and match colors and replace them with the needlepoint silks if I need to in order to get this result. And I'll go do that tomorrow, but I want it kitted before Maynia, because that sounds like so up my alley. While I've been doing that, I also ran across this. I'm redoing my house into kind of an ocean theme. I have always wanted, as long as I've lived here, I have wanted my house to be a reflection of the Central California coast, which is my favorite place to hang out. I don't live there. I have to drive a few hours to get that far north. But I want it to feel like I'm there anyway. So I'm collecting ocean stuff, and I've been making little changes and little additions for really the whole time I've been here. Once I started getting away from the farm theme, but my family room never was farm themed. I've always been adding little oceany things in there. When it was the farm theme though, my bathroom was decorated in a pig theme. And this was the robe hook piece that hung on the back of the door. And I had a little pig cross stitch in here, and I'm changing it over, and I've taken him out. And while I was going through things as part of the clean out of the house that I'm going through right now, I ran across this clipper cross stitch. And if I can get my fingers on a 20 Ida, this will fit perfectly in that robe holder. So that would not have happened if I hadn't gone hunting down things for a Hawk Run Hollow and run across this. So that's another thing. Now the next thing I have to do tomorrow is go and these are DMC flosses, but I'd like to see if she has a piece of fabric that I could use for that 20, and if not, I'll just use the one that I already have. I don't mind it matching. And then I'm watching Anna again at Stitch Roadie, and she starts talking about this thing. Notice I already have it in my hand because it was an immediate, oh my gosh, I need that, pause, go, order, and now it's here. But I had just introduced in my first vlog, my first Flosstube vlog, that I'm working on Firefly Fairies, and I'm very close to being where I'm going to be working on Krynic Metallics. And I know that they're hard to work with. In fact, Shepherd's Bush sold me something to put on the metallics to make them kind of work better. And I haven't even opened it, so I'm going to assume it's still good. But what Anna showed me with these, I said, that has to happen. My life is going to be so much easier because I saw her do that first. So here's another purchase that's already here. And then I'm watching, where's my little list? We were just here. So we got Carolyn and Anna. Oh, here we go. No, that's Carolyn. Little sticks. I was watching Helen D I was watching Caroline on Off the Grid Needle Arts, Off the Grid Creative Needle Arts. Any rate, I thought that she was sitting in front of a collection of vinyl records until she started demonstrating her project folders that she makes and sells on Etsy. Evertote, I think they're called. And at one point she turned and pulled one of them out of a set of cubbies, and I went, oh my gosh, those are all project folders. And my mind, this is the way my mind works. I'm like probably on the autism spectrum. I test very close to it, and I just don't want to pay for further testing. But all the what to look for in your adult friend you think might have autism describes me. In that my mind works like this. It occurred to me that I've made those folders before. Cosmetic size or pencil size, I've made those things before. They're not horribly difficult. Hers are very clever, and she's put some extra goodies into them, but I don't need that for what I do. So then I was watching Helen D, and she did she made one for us, did a tutorial on how to make them. And I said, yeah, that's how I make them, so that's gonna work. And I immediately went, pause, and now my zippers are here to make some project folders for Maynia. Now, none of that would have been enough to get me to do these projects, except that day before yesterday, when I'm watching Helen make this thing, and I'm seeing the darling fabric she's using, and I've watched Caroline show us several and looked at the darling fabric she's using, and it hit me, I have lots and lots of beautiful fabric that I bought with nothing in mind other than it was cheap art to me, that it was beautiful and fun. And even now when I'll go to Joann or I go to a quilt shop, and they'll say, oh, what are you going to do with this? I'll say, put it in the museum. It's cheap art. I may use it, I may not. And so I have probably a ton of cotton fabric in my sewing room. My son called it, first time he took a look at it, the way I had it set up, he said, oh, this is Mom's happy room. And he was in his 30s when he said that. And I said, yeah, it is. It's my happy room. So it dawned on me, I could use that fabric, that gorgeous fabric that I've collected, and make these folders for my projects and enjoy the fabric on a regular basis because I'm pulling it out like Caroline did, pull the project out. So yesterday, excuse me, not good for you to inhale your hair. So I went and started looking, and it only took me 20 minutes to fill this box. This is a 13 by 13 tote from Target. Let me see it, let me do this. That's my box. Okay. And I'm going to indulge myself and play with the art collection and look forward to making some things with it. This is a piece, it's not a Disney piece, but they hadn't even put it on the shelf yet at Joann when I saw it. It doesn't take too much of a jump to see the Sleeping Beauty castle and the Cinderella castle in this piece. And it is stunning, and it is going to make a beautiful project folder, or 20. Now, I don't want to make lots of them. I don't want to get into the market. I just want to make them for myself for Maynia. So there's that one, and then I'm a Disney and Mickey Mouse freak. So here is Mickey Through the Years. I think that's going to be a cute one. And somewhere around here I have the Norman Rockwell cross stitch of Mickey doing the self-portrait, and that's what I'm going to keep in that one when the time comes. And I'm an ocean nut. I couldn't imagine what I would use this for, but I fell in love with the whole line. Like this way, here's our whale. It's kind of too much. Is he still upside down? No, he's fine. But it's going to be perfect for a folder. And I certainly have lots of ocean pieces stacked up to do. I bought this somewhere and thought, you know what, that would be really cute on the side of a pocket. Just cut one of these out, put some borders on it. Find joy in every day, believe in yourself, just be you. I think these are going to be fun to do. And I've had this piece forever and ever. It's one of the Madeline and Bryce pieces. And I actually bought enough to do a baby quilt for, and then I learned the story of Madeline and Bryce, and I decided I didn't want to do that, that I will memorialize them. Madeline and Bryce were the designer's children. What is her name? Joni Hallmark. Bryce and Madeline. And they were killed in a car accident. And so these are the little, I think they're fairies. She might have meant them as angels, I don't know. But I would memorialize them in something as joyful as something to carry cross-stitch projects in. I have a lot of stuff by this designer. This is Corey Danton. Oh, excuse me, Corey Dantini. I can never remember her name. But this is going to be cute. And once I saw that and said, oh, that's that Corey Dantini. I call her Corey, but it's Corey Dantini. And then I remembered how much of her stuff I have. I don't think I missed a panel for 5 years, and they're seasonal. And when I get down to it, I'll pull it out and show you what I mean by using those. This was a Susan Wingate piece. I bought a lot of it thinking I was going to use it for a quilt, and I'm not going to now. I've bought fabric for my bedroom quilt at least 3 times. Finally settled on something, I think. But that's going to be fun, just fun to do and fun to use. My battery's dying. Okay, I'm back. More fun Disney. I have quite a bit of Nightmare Before Christmas fabric of different kinds. Those would be cute envelopes. I have this piece that I never intended to do anything with. I just thought it was really pretty. So I bought the cheap art, and I think that'll be enough to do an envelope out of. And I think that will be fun and lovely to have on a shelf. More Mickey. My favorite Disney character is Maleficent. And I was able to get some Maleficent fabric at a show a few years ago. Just a tiny bit of placement on that. That'll make a fun envelope. And it came in 2 colorways. I rather like the purple better, I think, than the gray. I bought this not knowing what I would ever use it for, but with my love of Massachusetts and oceans and all of that, it was something that had to be in my collection, and I think it's going to be a project envelope or 2. So I'm really excited about the project envelopes. It's like, when am I going to stitch? This was another one. I loved visiting the lighthouses in Cape Cod, so that might end up being an envelope. Are you seeing those upside down? There. I love the East Coast almost as much as my West Coast. This is another Corey Dantini panel, and I think, and this one goes with the balloon And that's just about the right size block to make an envelope. Maybe not a huge one, but I could make it. And I bought several sets of them, so that will probably end up being that. And then these are more of hers. Look at that little bird. I think she needs to be on a project envelope, and I think that hippopotamus needs to be on a project envelope. I have a number of her holiday. I have a whole nother box of her work somewhere, of her fabrics. And I can really see myself making a Halloween envelope for Halloween projects, or a Christmas envelope for Christmas projects. This is one of the companion pieces. I seem to have bought a lot of that. I don't remember why. This is also one of her companion pieces. So yeah, this is going to be fun stuff. This is a stripe that went with that really brightly colored one. I could see that guy as an envelope. I have a lot of that. What else is in here? I'm moving right along. This is another Corey Dentini companion fabric. It's cute. Another Halloween collection. Another Halloween collection. Would that make a darling envelope? This is one of her Christmas companion fabrics. And I think I have the, I don't know if this is the right one that goes with it. But I can do something with that. Keep projects in. Joy lives here. That would be fun to do. There's her Santa from another year. That would be fun to do. Where's Santa? This one is Santa. Slow down a little bit. There's the Halloween. I think you already saw that one. There's a nice Valentine's Day. Could be a fun envelope. I pulled this one out. See if I can get it out here. That's pretty. I have a lot of that. Was one of the many things I bought thinking I was going to make a quilt for my bed. This is one I just bought because I thought it was stunning. Definitely going to make one out of that. These are silly, but they would make it cute. See, I don't know what to do with this stuff, but if I made a project envelope out of it, even a small one, then I would put it to purposeful use. These are fun. I did a piece of embroidery for a friend. It was 3 little girls. You saw them from behind, 3 little girls in Victorian children's garb from behind, blowing bubbles out of a soap bowl, and I backed it. I did the embroidery, red work embroidery, and then I backed it for her with some of these. And I could see, you know, just even, it wouldn't take more than an hour to sew, you know, cut some of these out and sew some of the companion fabrics that I bought for it. I have quite a lot of that. And this, and make that one of these envelopes. About to collapse over here. And then Christmas. Now this I bought for an apron, and I probably am going to use it for an apron, but it sure is pretty. And this would make a pretty project envelope, and I have about enough for that. And again, these were ones I bought just because they were so beautiful. I didn't really have anything in mind for them. So now I have to dig out my sewing machine. It's buried under stuff in the happy room. And get going on that. I told my mom I just was going to have to stop sleeping because there's no way. So I have one more thing I wanted to share with you before I stop this session, and that is this box over here. As I've been cleaning, there's been stuff buried in closets, stuff buried in the garage, stuff buried in various rooms, and I found this one, and I didn't know what was in it. It's been in another room for several years, and when I opened it up, I found that it's full of, not full, but it has a bunch of cross-stitch projects in it, and packages kitted up, and packages, I don't know what they are. So I thought it would be fun to open it on a Flosstube, and I want to be able to put it away, so I'm going to do it today. I'm not going to save it for next week. Whatever this one is, it has metallics with it. Open this one up and see. Okay, so you can see the metallics down there. I'm starting to get a clue what this is. It has a lot of floss kitted up for it. And I'm working on a fiddler. Apparently I started it. Okay. This is called, where's the cover on this? It's an older book. Oh gosh, I'd forgotten how beautiful these were. Apparently I started this set of butterflies, and that's where the metallics are. They're in the butterflies. Look at this. I might do this sampler. Even though I say I'm not going to do samplers, I think I'm going to have to do this one. So I can be part of the in crowd. I'll even do it on linen, maybe. We'll see how it will lend itself. But isn't that gorgeous? Stony Creek collection. Now I'm remembering, there was a needle workshop in the next town over from me. So there's my chart. Apparently that's how much I did. How big a piece do I have? Yeah, I have a piece for the whole thing. Oh my gosh. And I went in to ask for the Krynics, for the metallics for this. And the woman in the store, and it was a really popular needlework store, and it had a fairly locally well-known framer attached to it. He had a workshop in the back. And she said, "How old is this pattern anyway?" You know, and I was like, just tell me you don't have them. You don't have to make it sound like I'm somehow at fault because I managed to pick up an older book. And I bought the book in a shop. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't in a used bookstore or anything. It was, anyway, I shouldn't waste my energy on the sad stories, but I do really love this. I'm glad I have the stuff. I was able to find the Krynics I needed when I got back to Utah and went to Shepherd's Bush. Of course they had it. So anyway, yeah, that's what that one is. And now I'm super excited to not only do the butterflies, but to do that sampler. Who said I wasn't going to do samplers. So that's that one. How fun was that? And of course my mind immediately goes to, oh, I have to do that zippered envelope with the butterfly, the Susan Wingate butterfly fabric, and then I can put my butterfly project in that envelope. What else is in here? Oh, this I did. I had it in my condo, so, and I brought it out at some point, brought it home. I want to say it's a Bent Creek, but I'm not sure. But it was fun and quick to do. I had fallen in love with that little bird, so that's why I wanted to do it. What else is in here? No clue. I'm looking at this side. I have no clue what this is. Oh, yes I do. Now that I see it. Wait a minute. I know what this is. Oh, this is sad because I'm probably not going to finish this one. Oh, darn. This is a Marilyn Levitt emblem. The same woman who designed Firefly Fairies did this one, and these are the pieces. I had to blow them up into working copies, and I got started on her. She's on Ida, so it would be easier to do. That's how far I got. And she's called the Quilter. Oh no, I have to do this. I can't not do this one. Here's what she looks like. Oh my goodness. Because I wanted her to commemorate my mom teaching me how to quilt. So it must be done. It has to happen. I don't know when it'll happen, but it has to happen. I have to do it. Everything's there. Everything's there and ready to go. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. Maybe I won't be so glad I found this box after all. The list gets longer. Now I'm getting scared. What is here? This is a shepherd's bush with some beads. Really, I didn't do anything with these. See, aren't they? They're so lovely. There's their floss kit. It's already carded. Or they gave me the card and I carded it up, I think is what happened. Yeah, I know what this is. Oh, this has to happen too. God, isn't that sweet? But that's all I did was card it up, kit it up, card it up. It's on a linen. Might hold on to that, see if I ever fall in love again. See if I get to have that experience before I die. Hasn't worked out real well yet for me. Oh, I didn't remember that. It came with the mat. Ooh, isn't that lovely? They're so awesome there. They're so magic. There's the mat for that. That's precious. Just precious. Terry and Tina and their crew. Every one of them is just a treasure up there. I want to go up again. I bought the condo from the son of my husband's college roommate. I had known him, John, the son, since he was 4. And he's in his early 50s now. And we bought a condo. He's a developer up in the Ogden Valley in Eden, Utah, doing really nice things up there for the community. And his mother, when I first met them, immediately, she was one of the most spiritually generous people I'd ever met. She immediately took me into her heart and into her family, and was one of my dearest friends for, well, she passed last year and I met her in 1971. So yeah, I haven't been back since I sold my condo a couple of years, so I need to go back. I want to go back in the fall. Maybe September, October are my favorite times of year up there. We usually went in the summer because as teachers it's summer vacation, but I didn't like it as much in the summer because everybody was running. It gets in the 90s during the day. Could be down in the 30s at night and in the 90s, high 90s during the day. And I liked the quiet, and it wasn't quiet when every condo has its air conditioner going. So I would prefer to go in the fall and get that, if I could hit that window between summer. The leaves start to turn up there in August. So I'm kind of thinking maybe September, go up, hit my friends up. Because John still lives up there, so maybe he'll let me, he and his wife will let me. They're empty nesters now, maybe they'll let me hang out with them for a while. They said they would. They said I could come up. This is a bare roots piece of chickens. It's a Berry Sue, Godet. And I was thinking of my mother when I got it because she's really into chickens, but I don't, right now with all of this other beauty staring me in the face, I don't see myself doing that piece. More. Primitive hearts. I can remember buying all of these. So I drive. When I go to Utah, I drive. I love to drive. Once I get out of the LA area, right about, so I take the freeway, the 5. I don't ever get on the 5. My mother lives in Simi, and I live further west from her. So I go to Simi, I get on the 118, and I get off on Balboa in the San Fernando Valley, and I get on the 14 to Palmdale, Lancaster, and I take it until I can get on the 58. And the 58 goes to Barstow, goes past Boron. Oh, I love this one. And then once I got on the 58, got past the 14, I loved every part of that drive, except Las Vegas. I don't like Las Vegas, so I got through that as fast as I could. But just the whole drive through the desert is fascinating, and then the Virgin River Gorge is amazing, and then that takes me into St. George, and I usually spend the night in St. George. And there are, believe it or not, there is a fabulous quilt shop there called Scrap Apple Quilts, and I always spend way too much money there. And then the next day I'll drive up through the ranch land of Utah. That southern area has, it's amazing what there is to see along the 15 in Utah. And then about Provo, I hang a right at Springville, which is right before you get to Provo, Utah. And in Springville, there is a quilt shop called Corn Wagon Quilts. And the last couple of times I've been there, they looked like they had kind of cut back on the embroidery, but when I first started going there, the whole basement of this building was these embroidery kits, and oh man, did I get a lot of them. So this one I would like to do. It's not cross stitch, it's just embroidery, but there's a nest, some little birds in a nest. Sometimes you just have to take a leap and find your wings on the way down. And that's my life, the story of my life. You just have to go for it. And I don't listen to that advice enough. So where I was, I had just found this. It is a sewing box by Lori Birmingham. Lori Birmingham Designs. It has 28 count fabric, floss, gold-plated charms, cottage kit, needle, and instructions. All 4 sides are embroidered. And you build that little birdhouse. That's the rest of them. And make it into a sewing box that opens up like this. And I went to a cross-stitch show one year and felt guilty when I was done when I left because I had spent so much money there, and then they never had it again. So I stopped feeling guilty. I felt like, well, I guess the universe just sent me there to get as much as I could when I could, because they never did it again. There's all the little pieces. Okay, Lori, I might have to start looking at you again. so many of these things. Oh my goodness. So if I did that, would it count as a sampler? It's on linen. I think it's on linen. Here's a sampler, a little one. Also has a pretty little mat on it, so you can see how little it is. Can you even read it? My camera, this brand of camera is famous for not focusing close real easily. Maybe I'll set that one away, and when I get to 1,000 subs, I will give it away. I know what this one is, and I hope she's forgotten about it. I bought this to do for my mom. She loves butterflies and was kind of not able to get it open. Kind of known as the butterfly lady in her quilt group because she always put a butterfly on everything. I'm not going to be able to get into this. Oh, sorry. So it is this. And I started working on it. I got this far with it. And I think my kids were little and busy. Little, they were probably teenagers and busy, and I just couldn't keep going. So I made, now that I see it again, that really is pretty. And she really would like it. So maybe, and I would like it to do it, I think. So I might go ahead and put that back. I need a rotation, right? And then put that back in a rotation. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I know what this is. This is a beautiful cobalt jar. And you embroider something to go on the top of it. So, you know what would really look cool on the top of that is that schooner. Might end up doing that one twice. And then these, I remember getting these. I have a lot of, I think I actually have all of them. And I might have even been planning to put them all in like side by side. Were these all the Lizzie Kates? No, it was the Bent Creeks, I think. January Snows. February Glows. March Blows. April Glooms. April. I bet it's this one. See, what I did was fall in love with both the, here it is, April, May Blooms, April Blooms, June Zooms, July sings, August rings, September brings, October curls, November twirls, and December swirls. So I bought all of them, plus apparently I have a piece of Ida in here. I would do it on Fiddler. They have done it on a Fiddler, and I would do it on a Fiddler. And apparently at the time I didn't love all the Bent Creek, so I bought some that I liked from Lizzie Kate. So there was a May, July, April, February, and January. Flippets. But now I like these better. So it may or may not become a thing. And then there's a border for when you get them together. 2004 is when I got that. That's 15 years ago, can you believe that? And then I have the flosses to do it with. There's some of them. All right, so that box is empty. So what did we do? We looked at me changing the colors and getting ready to go match the colors on the Cape Cod Keeps that I'm doing into a sampler. We saw some of the things I bought, kind of a mini haul, getting me with those Flosstube people, getting me into trouble with my budget. And then looked at some of the fabric that I want to use to make project envelopes with, all my zippers, and then went through the things that were in that box. So I get to clean up this mess now and see it all again. I am going to come back. My plan was to just do a Flosstube every couple of weeks. But obviously I'm unpredictable, so and life is unpredictable. So I'm gonna put this away. I have to get back into that back room and keep emptying. What happened is I hit a box full of old papers that I have to go through. I'm not looking forward to that. So, but I have to. This was a nice break, nice to stop for a visit. And thank you so much. I must have 30 or 40 Flosstubers in my list, my playlists now on my computer. I enjoy it visiting so much. Yeah, I'll check in a couple of weeks and see if there's anything I have to share. Have a good, where are we? February. Have a good Valentine's Day. I may not be back before Valentine's Day, so I'll wish you a happy one. Bye-bye.